What's going on, everyone, and welcome to January 22nd, 2021. We're here to break down the 10th consecutive day of NHL action, 116 days straight. I'll have episodes for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The original, hardest working, most entertaining, most accurate NHL sports gambling podcast on YouTube. Before we get started, please make sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate all your support. I don't want your money, I just want your likes and subscriptions. Thank you so much, everybody. In this video, we're going to talk about all the greatest moments from the past couple of days. Some breaking news: the Washington Capitals have COVID. The Montreal Canadiens are for real. Pierre-Luc Dubois is benched. All of that and more. We're going to talk about some of the things I got right from the last couple days and the bets I gave you. Then we're going to dive right into the predictions for the weekend games. So let's take a look at the results from the past couple of days of the picks I gave you. Unfortunately, I had 3 games go to shootout and I lost all of them. So I went to 5-5, which still is not a losing record. I've yet to post a losing record in the 10 days hockey's been back, but it's not a winning record either. So overall, I move up to 35-25, still very respectable. If you had taken every pick I gave you, you'd be up right now. I'm not going to count that Habs loss in the first game that I specifically told you all to stay away from, but I am going to count this Habs win in the second game that I specifically told you all to bet on. And I didn't listen to myself. I went against all my numbers, all my stats, and I went with the Leafs in the over, and I lost that. And that was just a terrible pick, so my bets are 2-3 and 11-12 overall for bets. Let's talk about some of the most electric moments from the past couple of days. The very first thing was game 1 between the Montreal Canadiens and the Vancouver Canucks. Bo Horvat posted a couple of power play goals. Tyler Toffoli scored a hat trick. Brock Besser scored a couple of goals of his own. Tatar made a pass to Gallagher that was straight out of NHL 08 with the cross crease pass that was like an automatic goal. It was 3-3 in the third, and 4 more goals were scored. In the dying seconds of the game, Braden Holtby makes an amazing stop to keep it alive and send it to overtime so the Canucks could win. It was pure excitement, end-to-end action, elite level talent on display. Great game to watch. Another electric moment: Matthew Barzal skating all the way up the ice and sniping. This guy is so smooth the way he skates and accelerates. He's such a weapon out there, and he's so dangerous to anyone trying to defend him. Matthew Barzal is one of the most underrated players in the league. Another electric moment: Nathan MacKinnon making an absolute fool out of this defenseman, who will remain unnamed. Nathan MacKinnon is an intimidating player when he comes down the wing or the middle of the ice at full speed. Nobody really wants to try and stop him, and he's talented enough to go right around you, so I don't blame the guy for getting turnstiled, but that's a tough look. The Bruins and Flyers game was pretty electric, with JVR tying it late and Tuukka Rask putting on some magic in overtime to basically steal it for the Bruins. And the last electric moment: some good, sound defensive hockey between the Oilers and Maple Leafs. Boy, was that exciting. I had the over in that game, and it was very apparent after the first 2 periods that it was not going to go over, so I didn't have much fun watching this one. Up next is ATODASO, where I basically tell you all the things that I got right from the past 2 days. I told you to stay away from that Habs and Canucks game and to take the loser in game 2. Exactly that happened. I told you I'd probably lose on the Leafs and the Oilers game. I told you the Wild would win. I told you the Islanders would win. I told you the Knights would win by 2. Unfortunately, it wasn't my best couple of days for the ATODASO portion of this video, because there were a lot of the next portion of this video the devastating moments of the last 2 days where I realized I was losing my bets. The Lightning did not dominate the Columbus Blue Jackets, even with Dubois sitting on the bench for most of the game. The Avs lost to the Kings, and I really thought they would destroy them. I took an emotional judgment call with the Leafs in the over, and that was extremely disappointing. And as I mentioned earlier, there were 3 shootouts, and all the games went against my picks. Devastating. Just devastating. So what did we learn over the last couple of days? What can we take away and predict going forward for this NHL season? Number 1, Pierre-Luc Dubois has been benched for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He might get more playing time next game, but him and Tortorella are not seeing eye to eye right now, and that's tough when you're star player is not getting the big minutes. Tyler Toffoli can absolutely rip it. He scored 3 goals in the first game and 2 goals in the second game. Brock Besser can also rip it. He had 4 goals in those 2 games. Tyler Toffoli has a lethal wrist shot and is just really able to pick corners. He has just such an accurate shot and quick release. He's always been a great shooter, and I think it's becoming apparent now in the NHL. Bo Horvat works as the middleman, sort of like the bumper guy on the power play, and his one-timers the past couple days have just been lethal. There's no way to stop that. Another thing we learned: never under any circumstance bet on the Oilers or Maple Leafs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Schrodinger's cat, but the Leafs and the Oilers exist in this superposition of being both elite teams and absolute dumpster fires at the exact same time, and you don't know which one it's going to be until these teams are on the ice. The Caps have COVID. Orlov, Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Samsonov, they're all out for the next 4 games for breaking COVID protocols. The Caps got fined $100,000. We'll see how this plays out. It takes all of us. Smarten up, guys. And the very last thing we learned: the Montreal Canadiens, I'm saying it right now, they're for real. It looks to me like somebody forgot to tell these guys that they were supposed to be bad this year. After watching this team, I've been forced to change my stance. It makes me sick to my stomach to say it, but the Montreal Canadiens are the best team in Canada right now. Without further ado, let's get right into the predictions for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night action in the NHL. Starting Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, you have the rematch between the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Oilers are plus 118 underdogs to the Maple Leafs minus 140 favorites. 72% of the money is on the Toronto Maple Leafs. The road team is 4-0 in the last 4, and the Oilers are 5-1 in their last 6 as a road underdog. The Leafs are 2-8 in their last 10 versus a team with a losing record, but the favorite is 12-3 in the last 15 games between these teams. I thought the Leafs would take the first game of this series, and they didn't. I'm tempted to think they would split the series with the Oilers, but I've been wrong on every Leafs game this year, so I don't know what to think anymore. My lean is officially the Leafs. The next game is the Buffalo Sabres at the Washington Capitals. Now this one is unique because the Buffalo Sabres are minus 141 favorites, and the Capitals are plus 118 underdogs because the Capitals are without Ovechkin, Orlov, their goaltender Samsonov, and Kuznetsov. 54% of the money is still on the Capitals. So the Capitals are 1-5 in their last 6 as an underdog, but the Sabres are 2-10 in their last 12 as a favorite. They're not used to being a winning team. However, between these teams, the favorite is 35-16 in their last 51 meetings. The question you have to ask yourself is whether losing Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Orlov, and Samsonov is going to affect the Capitals enough that they lose to the Buffalo Sabres. They could just be a next man up thing where the players that fill in play well enough to get the job done. But in this one, I'm tempted to think that the Buffalo Sabres will win the game with all of their star players in the lineup. Up next, you got the New York Rangers as plus 128 underdogs against the Pittsburgh Penguins as minus 154 favorites. 72% of the money is on the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins are 140-65 in their last 205 games as a home favorite. They're 7-3 in their last 10 Friday games, and the over is 16-3-3 in the last 22 meetings between these teams. I think that 205 game number is based on a past Penguins team, and I think the Rangers have taken a step forward this year. I think the game is a bit of a toss-up. I would lean towards the Penguins, but I don't love it. I might actually take the over in this game. Up next, you have the Detroit Red Wings as plus 110 underdogs against the Chicago Blackhawks as minus 135 favorites. You have 65% of the money on the Chicago Blackhawks. In this game, the over favors the Hawks, the under favors the Red Wings. Home team is 13-6 in their last 19. The underdog is 5-2 in the last 7, but the Red Wings are 1-4 in the last 5 meetings between these teams. I think both these teams kind of stink. You have to ask yourself which team is playing their absolute best instincts and which team is kind of underplaying instincts. I think based on that, but I think the Hawks are going to win this game. I would really stay away from it and pick the second game. Whoever loses in the first game, I would expect it to be a split series. The Chicago Blackhawks aren't capable of beating very many teams this season, but the Detroit Red Wings are one of them. Up next, you have the San Jose Sharks as plus 138 underdogs against the Minnesota Wild as minus 160 favorites. 66% of the money is on the Minnesota Wild. The Sharks are 5-1 in the last 6 meetings between these teams. The road team is 4-1 in the last 5. The under is 6-0-1 in the last 7 games, but the Sharks went over 5-1 in their last 6. This one's too close to call. I really would lean towards the Wild because I think they're a good feisty team this season, but I think the Sharks could steal this one also. I would stay right away from it. Up next, you have the Nashville Predators at the Dallas Stars, the Stanley Cup finalists. The Predators are minus 115 and the Stars are minus 105. 68% of the money is on the Stars. Initially, I thought not playing a game might be a detriment to the Stars, but then I saw the way the Florida Panthers beat the Blackhawks no problem after not playing. And as good as the Stars team can play, I think they could beat Nashville in the very first game. However, they are missing Seguin, and Klingberg is a game-time decision. The Stars play well with a lot of rest. They're 42-17 in their last 59 meetings with 3 or more days of rest. The Preds don't do well against the Stars. They're 14-30 in the last 44 in Dallas, and they're 2-5 in the last 7 meetings between these teams. Bold, it's risky. They haven't played a game yet, but I'm going to take the Dallas Stars against the Nashville Predators. Next, you have the Arizona Coyotes as plus 138 underdogs against the Vegas Golden Knights as minus 166 favorites. 66% of the money is on the Vegas Golden Knights. This is the third game between these teams this week, and they play another game on Sunday, so I imagine they're getting pretty tired of each other by now. The Coyotes are 5-1 in their last 6 as a road underdog. Golden Knights are 4-0 in their last 4 meetings. The home team is also 5-0 in the last 5 meetings. Do the Golden Knights sweep the Arizona Coyotes? It's entirely possible that they take all 4 games this week, so I'm going to take the Vegas Golden Knights in this game. Up next, you have the Colorado Avalanche as minus 215 favorites against the Anaheim Ducks as plus 178 underdogs. 71% of the money is on the Colorado Avalanche. The road team is 4-0 in the last 4 meetings between these teams. The Avalanche are 5-0 in their last 5 after scoring 2 or less in the previous game. They're 7-1 in their last 8 in the third game of a 3-4 situation. However, the Avs are 8-19 in their last 27 in Anaheim somehow, and they're 17-35 in their last 52 meetings overall. You have to remember that the Colorado Avalanche were a bad team just a couple of years ago, and the Ducks were a good team just a couple of years ago. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to those numbers. I would probably take the Avs in this game once again. On Saturday, you have the rematch between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't know what John Tortorella does to fire up his Blue Jackets to beat this Tampa Bay Lightning team, but he's doing something right. Apparently, benching their star player for the entire game is the only thing that works to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. So congrats to John Tortorella. I lost my bet, but I'm going to pick the Lightning once again in this game. I don't think they're going to drop 2 in a row to the Blue Jackets. Up next, probably another barn burner. You got the Canadiens and the Canucks. Canucks take game 1. Canadiens take game 2. Flip a coin for game 3. I really don't know. I might take the over. However, the first 2 games went over 2, so the odds of it happening 3 times in a row could be a big stay away game for me, I'm going to be honest. Bruins Flyers. Tight game, went to overtime. Bruins took it. Got to go with the Flyers in the second one. Blues Kings. Kings coming off a huge win over the Colorado Avalanche. Do they beat the St. Louis Blues in the very next game? This one's tough for me because the Blues are banged up, and I think it's going to start to show as the games go on, and I don't think the Kings are as bad as people think they are. They're still playing hard. They still have Jeff Carter, Drew Doughty, Anze Kopitar, and Jonathan Quick. I think the Kings could steal this game, but I'm scared of taking it. I'm going to take the Kings. Next, you got the rematch between the Sens and the Jets. Apparently, I have a very bad gauge for what the Jets are. They beat the Sens in the first game. Do the Sens steal the second game? No, the Jets are going to win the second game as well. Panthers at the Hurricanes. This will be a good one. I like the Hurricanes as the more physical, more defensive, more regimented team. That's why I'm going to pick them in this contest. And for the Sunday games, the very first one is the Red Wings at the Hawks. That is a rematch. As I said earlier, stay away from the first game. Whoever loses, take them in this game. The Sabres at the Capitals rematch. Depending on how the Capitals do in that first game with their depleted roster, I would potentially reassess this game. If they don't look good, I'm going with the Sabres again. Flames and Leafs. This is a toss-up, flip a coin. The over is a play in this game, but the under is also a play. I don't know with these teams. It's hard to pick these teams. This is definitely a stay-away game. If I got a lean, no matter what I say will be wrong. Leafs! I'm going Leafs. Next game, the fourth game between the Coyotes and the Golden Knights. Can't go wrong betting on the Golden Knights. Gonna go with them in all 4 in this one. Game 2 between the Islanders and the New Jersey Devils. I think the Islanders are a very good team. They're very well coached. They're deeper than people give them credit for. Devils are better this season, but they're not as good as the Islanders, so I got to take the Islanders in this one. Penguins-Rangers rematch. If the Pens take game 1, give me the Rangers. If the Rangers take game 1, give me the Pens. Next game is the Colorado Avalanche against the Anaheim Ducks. There is no way that the Colorado Avalanche lose to the Kings. If they lose to the Ducks on Friday, they're definitely winning this game. If they beat the Ducks, they're probably going to win this game as well, so I'm going with the Avalanche. I officially picked the Kings to steal a game from the Blues. I don't know if it's going to be the first game or the second game. That's the problem. If the Kings don't win the first game, take them in this game. It's good value. Wild and Sharks. I'm just going to take the Wild in this one. The Sharks are depleted. They're going to get wins. They do have Martin Jones, but the Wild are a better team. I'm going to ride the Dallas Stars here. I don't like what I see from the Nashville Predators just yet. And based on everything I saw in that cup run last season, the Stars are a nice, well-oiled machine. They get offense from everywhere. Oilers and Jets. Your guess is as good as mine on this one. Over, under, win-loss. These teams could play great or terribly. I would completely stay away from the game. If I had to lean, Oilers. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the official picks for the weekend. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Who's going to win and lose? Starting with Friday, I would immediately stay away from the Sabres and Caps game and take the loser in the second game. But if I had to take a lean, I would go with the Sabres in the first game. I'm always wrong about them, but I'm going to take the Leafs. I think the Penguins will beat the Rangers in the first game. I'd stay away from the Hawks and Red Wings game and take the loser in the second game. But if I had to lean in the first one, the Hawks. I'm going to take the Wild. I'm going to take the Stars in their first game against the Preds. I'm going to take the Knights against the Yotes. the Avs, the Lightning. Stay away from the Habs and Canucks game, but again, if I had to lean, I would take the Habs. I'm going to take Philly over Boston in the rematch. I'm going to take the Blues, but I hate it. I'd stay away and take the second game. I take the Hurricanes, the loser of the Hawks and Red Wings, the loser of the Caps and the Sabres. I hate it, but I'd take the Leafs against Calgary again. I'm so wrong. I'm always wrong about them, and I'm probably going to be wrong both times. I'm going to take the Knights again in all 4 games this week against the Coyotes. Give me the Islanders. Give me the Rangers in game 2. Give me the Avalanche again. The Kings are going to steal one from the Blues. The Wild. The Stars are going to take another game against the Preds, and give me the Oilers in the last game. So that's it. That's who I think will win. Do with it what you will. They don't all have great odds. That's just who I am leaning towards winning each game. So my official bets, the ones that I will actually place money on. When I win, you win, and when you lose, I lose. The bet that I am suggesting to you guys for free, the best value, I am taking the over in the Penguins and the Rangers game on Friday night. And I'm taking the Avalanche and the Golden Knights in a 2-team parlay to beat both of their teams. On Saturday, give me the Lightning minus 1.5 against the Blue Jackets. They're going to do it this time. On Sunday, I'm going to take the Rangers value against the Penguins. I don't think they're necessarily going to win, but if they do, I love the value on that team. I'm also going to take a 2-team parlay of the Islanders and the Avalanche winning on Sunday night. So that's it for me. That's all the best moments from the past couple of days, and a preview, a look ahead, a takeaway for everything you can expect to see in the NHL this weekend. This is the original, hardest working, most entertaining, most accurate NHL sports gambling podcast on YouTube. Thank you for listening, everybody. Please like and subscribe. Please tell your friends. I hope you win your bets. I hope we all make money. Let me know in the comments what you think about everything I have said here. I'll see you guys on Monday. Cheers.